Thank you, Mark. I know you. You open doors for people, not just ladies. Anybody that happens to be at the door when you are, you open the door, let them go first. Always others first. You go out of your way to make the new guy at work feel included. I know you. When you shake somebody's hand, you look them straight in the eye, and whatever you tell them you're going to do, they can be sure you're going to do it. Yeah, I know you. If a cashier gives you too much change, no matter what the amount, 5 cents or $5,000, you give it back. Even if you don't discover that mistake until you get home, you go right back and make it right. I know you. You probably have a first aid kit in your car. Might even have a fire extinguisher, as far as I know. I know you. You're Eagle Scouts. Has anybody ever said to you, in kind of a tone of disgust, "You're such a Boy Scout"? Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah, I know you, but why is that? I mean, you maybe haven't pitched a tent or tied a knot since you were 17. What makes you act like you do? It's the secret sauce. See, Baden-Powell was a pretty good cook. His recipe was pretty simple, but it was brilliant. You start with a boy. Add in a little bit of adventure. Mix in some outdoor skills. Stir with opportunities to learn leadership and make some new friends. Add a set of immutable values, and bake that whole thing in the oven of challenging situations. Top the whole thing with recognition for achievement, and serve it up under the guidance of caring adults. Then you've got the secret sauce of scouting. The secret sauce of scouting is a boy or a girl making memories with their childhood friends of adventures, challenges, and achievement. We all have those memories. Let me share one of mine. This is the camp staff of Pioneer Trails Council in 1971, Pioneer Trails Scout Camp in Cromwell, Indiana. You see the guy third from the left with the Beatles haircut and a stupid-looking smile? That's your speaker tonight. You see the other guy in the back row, second from the right, with the white neckerchief? That's Dr. Mark Frederick, our host tonight. I said earlier, as I was writing this, I said that kid, because he was at that time, that kid grew up to become an Eagle Scout, earn a PhD in counseling psychology, and to be our host this evening. I've got some other people that were there at that same time with me tonight. My good friend and fellow Eagle Scout, Bob Savage, is with me tonight. Bob, raise your hand. And Bob brought his wife Lisa with him tonight. Bob was our waterfront, or on our waterfront staff. There is another person that's with me tonight that was at camp in that same time period. That's my wife, Dagmar. Dagmar, raise your hand. She was at camp because she had to be, because she lived there. She was the camp ranger's daughter. Don't go there. I'm an Eagle Scout. And besides, I was afraid of the camp ranger. Don't tell me you're not. So when Mark called me or contacted me and asked me to speak tonight, it was truly a blast from the past. As life often goes, we had gotten pretty busy pursuing our dreams, and we hadn't seen each other for over 50 years. And yet, a simple email brought us to renew that friendship from long ago. Even after a half a century of life experiences, and think about that, that's powerful stuff. Scouting impacts lives. It makes a lifelong positive difference in the lives of the young people it serves. And it makes a positive difference in the communities in which they live. A professional scouter by the name of Forrest Whitcraft illustrated that pretty well in the October 1950 issue of Scouting magazine. He was the managing editor of Scouting magazine at the time. He wrote an editorial called "Within My Power." Here's what he said. "I'm not a very important man, as importance is commonly rated. I do not have great wealth, control a big business, or occupy a position of great honor or authority. Yet, I may someday mold destiny. For it's within my power to become the most important man in the world in the life of a boy. And every boy is a potential atom bomb in human history. A humble citizen like myself might have been the scoutmaster of a troop in which an undersized, unhappy Austrian lad by the name of Adolf might have found a joyous boyhood full of the ideals of brotherhood and goodwill and kindness, and the world would have been a different place. A humble citizen like myself might have been the organizer of a troop in which a Russian boy called Joe might have learned the lessons of democratic cooperation. These men would never have known that they had averted world tragedy, and yet they would be among the most important men who ever lived. All about me are boys. They're the makers of history, the builders of tomorrow. If I can have some part in guiding them up the trails of scouting onto the high road of noble citizenship and constructive character, I may prove to be the most important man in their lives, the most important man in my community. 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove. But the world may be different because I was important in the life of a boy. You may have recognized that last line. It's on posters and bookmarks and on hundreds or thousands of school counselor office walls, and you can find it in youth serving agency headquarters across the country. Sometimes it says, "in the life of a child," but make no mistake, that was written about boys. It was written about scouts, and it was written about scout leaders. And it's just as true today as it was in 1950. I don't know. Scouting has changed so much, and it's just not what it used to be. Stop right there. You're wrong. Yes, there have been changes. When Baden-Powell had Brown Sea, he had scouts, boys, stretching out a blanket underneath a tree so other boys could jump from the tree and into the blanket. We don't do that anymore. It used to be that you had to be 12 years old and a boy to join scouts. Today, we serve kids from 5 years old to 18. Yeah, but they let in girls. Yeah, They did. And you know that that's the same model that was in use by some troops in the 1930s? You ever hear of campfire girls? You know, sing around the campfire, join the campfire girls. The Boy Scouts of America helped to create the campfire girls because some of those boys, the Scouts' sisters, wanted the same adventures that their brothers were having. And back in the 30s, some Boy Scout troops and campfire troops would meet together in the same place at the same time. They would have an opening ceremony together. They'd split off, and the girls would have their meeting, and the boys would have their meeting, and sometimes they even came back together for a closing ceremony. And that's the same model that's in use today, only we call it Scouts BSA. So what hasn't changed in 114 years? The Scout Oath. The Scout Oath still talks about the 3 duties of a Scout. Duty to God and country. Duty to others, help other people at all times. Duty to self. Keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And what's more, still, a Scout is trustworthy. Say it with me. Loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And there is why you act like you do. See, on your way to earning that highest rank in the Boy Scouts, you said, recited the Scout Oath and the Scout Law hundreds, maybe thousands of times. You saw other Scouts and adult leaders illustrate those values in real life. And you came to realize those were not just words. They were a statement of the expectations of your behavior as a Scout. And it became a part of who you are. Don't misunderstand me. I don't think any Scout or Eagle Scout is perfect. But I do think you stand above the crowd. So where does that leave us? It leaves us in the here and now, tonight, celebrating achievement, adventures, memories. Where do we go from here? Valid question. Perhaps the answer is in those memories, in something we all have in common. When your scoutmaster or your mother or your mentor pinned that badge on your chest, most likely you took a new oath, the Eagle Scout oath. I'm going to ask you to take that oath again tonight. Let's repeat it together and rededicate ourselves to its principles. Please stand and raise your hand in the Scout sign. I reaffirm my allegiance to the 3-point promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training and example, my rank and my influence count strongly for better scouting and for better citizenship in my troop, in my community, and in my contacts with other people. To this, I pledge my faith and honor. 2, you can be seated. Thank you. So, how do we now honor that oath which we just shared. Well, for one thing, we can do whatever we can do to help the scouting movement. Scouting needs our help today. Volunteer. I know that you were told you were not going to be asked to volunteer. I'm the wild card. They can't control me, so here I am. Volunteer. You can help scouting, and you can have a great impact on scouting and the boys and girls who are scouts today by serving in a troop or a district or a council-level volunteer role. You can promote scouting in your community, at work, at church, within your family. The least you can do is support scouting financially on the district and council level. And I know you're not about to do the least you can do. You're going to do so much more. Oh, and keep opening doors for people. Thank you for your kindness in listening to my little talk tonight. I knew you would be kind. So I know you. You're Eagle Scouts. And I salute you.